Let's get the show underway with our first guest of the evening. Of course, Letterkenny, a very big show. Now the spin-off Shoresy is airing on Crave and is coming to Hulu on May 27th. Please welcome to the program one of the stars of Shoresy, Tasya Teles. Welcome to the program.
Hey. Thank you for having me, you guys.
Well, thank you for coming on. So when I heard that they were doing the show Shoresy, I was like, wow, they're taking a reoccurring character that never showed his face on the show and giving him his own show. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, how are they going to do that? And then I see the show and I see that it takes place in Sudbury, and it's like this whole new world to envelop the fans of Letterkenny. And of course, you play Nat on the show, who is take charge, don't take no shit type person. So tell us a bit more about what Shoresy's all about.
Well, it's funny because one of the first phone calls I had from Jared, he was like, so basically, like, to back it up, in Letterkenny, which is this, hugely successful cult comedy show that, comes out of Canada, and they do such a great job, and they've had so many seasons behind them. But one of their characters is Shoresy, and he's just this chirping, mother-loving, like, he's the dirtiest hockey player in the league. And so all he does the whole time is he just chirps at other people. So he has really great jokes that come out of his mouth. And they decided to do a spin-off from him because he was such a fan favorite. People loved him. So this show, when Jared called me, he said, we're going to do the greatest hockey show ever. And I was like, okay. Okay. I don't know what that means. Okay. I was like, but the thing is like what they did with the Letterkenny was so incredible that I just trusted whatever he said. And this is a hockey show in so much as, Ted Lasso is about soccer. It's like, you don't have to love soccer to love Ted Lasso. You don't have to love or know much about hockey to love Shoresy, but it's just where all the fun and comedy lives within the hockey team.
Yeah, we coming onto a show like this, like it's a brand new show, of course, but it's spun off of, as you mentioned, Letterkenny, an existing show with existing characters,
series,
a very, very popular series with a very enthusiastic fan base. So coming into this for yourself, was there still like some additional trepidation or reservations about being welcomed into this universe, or that conversation with Jared, did that really kind of like ease your mind into coming to this world?
No. Every day on set, I was like, did the joke land? Like what's happening? And I was like kind of hoping like every 2 seconds, because, in other shows that I've worked on, you keep moving, but you have like a little bit of a discussion over, I don't know, like the plot lines and where like I don't know, just different conversations that I was expecting from him and Jacob. And they were just kind of like, keep going. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, sure, let's just keep going. But I didn't know, how to live in the world of comedy. And I also was intimidated by the fact that Letterkenny has been such a massive success, so there was definitely some trepidation.
No, totally. And of course, the thing that I really like is that they didn't decide to just do another Letterkenny. This is a very different take from what they did with Letterkenny. You guys are in a much more like A to B to C type story. You're telling like an overarching epic plot, as opposed to Letterkenny, which is very episodic. Like you can take an episode of Letterkenny and watch it on its own. Whereas here, you're building this story. And I find that Nat is kind of like the character that is very important to the comedy because you're kind of like the grounding center. Totally. And it's like you're basically there along with the audience going, you guys are fucking idiots.
Like can what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, get it together. And it's interesting you bring that up because you do need to have that person that operates in, the ensemble that holds, it for everybody else. Like the way I see Nat is she's like just skating right down center ice and everybody else is like buzzing around her. Like, so they all get off track and I'm like, the goal is this way. Come on, let's do this. Yeah.
Oh, man. And yeah, well, also, I really like the fact that, you know, it's not just Nat. Of course, the manager of the Bulldogs, the person that has basically said, hey, if we don't get a crowd, we're done here. I like that Nat is backed up, you know, has her team. You know, you got Blair Lamora and Kalani Elizabeth Rose playing those characters. And the three of you just play off well off each other. What was it like building that dynamic?
Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, I knew Kaylani from Vancouver. There was a moment in time where I decided I wanted to learn how to dance. So I joined like this dance troupe. Terrible idea. Haven't revisited it. But she was there as one of like the teachers of professional dancers. So we knew each other from years ago from that little stint. And so it was great to work with her again. And Blair and I just met for the project. But the three of us looked at the calendar and they were doing all of the hockey filming together in like big chunks, which gave us 4 days off. And we were like, should we go to Montreal together? So
wait a second, you're saying you wanted to leave the lovely Sudbury in the middle of winter? You wanted to take a few days away?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we did. And we escaped the cold to a different version of cold in Montreal.
Well, you know, like Sudbury is a very beautiful place, but is not exactly as necessarily as visually beautiful as Montreal is. So I totally understand where you're coming from on taking off for a little bit, right?
Well, and Sudbury is very stunning in the spring and the summer, definitely, but it's covered in a huge sheet of white throughout the rest of the year.
I mean, I think most cities that are covered in a huge sheet of white, you know, and snow are hard done by. It's hard, you know, unless you're like this beautiful mountain kind of, you know, like Vail, Colorado or something like that. And it's this magical wonderland. Like there's like dirty snow and there's, you know, it's a city under snow. It's just what it is. But we did decide to have a little getaway and that really, really brought us together even more. So it was really fun to get to know them that way.
For yourself, you know, like working on a comedy like this, you know, is there a lot? Did you guys get a chance to do a lot of like improv or, you know, change up some scenes or make some suggestions, or were they more like, no, let's just stick with the script? You know, like, did you have some fun that way?
Well, interestingly, Jared, so the scripts were very like when you read the scripts, you could hear the tone, you could hear exactly like what was necessary to keep it lifted. But he was also very open to like suggestions, letting people, you know, ad-lib a little bit. He also used a lot of people's like life stories in the plots. So Dolo, who's the rap singer, the rapper, his story is pulled, you know, there's a real clip of him getting into a fight on the ice that Jared pulled from YouTube and wove into the storyline, which I found to be really brilliant. So there's lots of inspiration and lots of creative flexibility.
No, totally. And yeah, you mentioned, you know, bringing in real life and characters. Of course, there's a lot of Canadian celebrities that pop up in this show. And I thought it was hilarious that Lawrence LaBeouf plays Lawrence LaBeouf on the show. What was your favorite person to work with those cameo appearances?
Gosh, I mean, everybody was awesome. I think like Laurence was funny because like Jacob Tierney, the director, he's like, I don't think she understands what's about to happen. Is like, because they say her name so much as a joke throughout the whole thing. Laurence LaBeouf. It's like anytime she walks into a room now, people are all gonna be like, Laurence LaBeouf. You know?
Yeah, I think it was said 23 times in the first episode she said.
But I'm totally infatuated with Kids in the Hall from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys watched that back in the day.
Oh yeah, and it's back. on Prime now too.
Exactly. So I just started watching that, and it's so funny. And so when Scott Thompson showed up and he played Letterkenny's dad, Shoresy's dad.
It makes sense. He's all of it. He's everything.
Yeah.
Jared is everything. So he's carrying a whole universe in his head. So I totally get it.
That's a whole other thing, but I was really excited to meet him and see him, and I got a little fangirly, and I got too scared to ask for a photo, so I wanted to send a photo to my mom and my sister, because with 3 of us used to watch Kids in the Hall growing up. And I failed. It's fine.
Well, honestly, like I would imagine that even as a professional, getting to work with, some very famous and talented people, that sometimes this happens, right? Like that you've run into people that you've worked with. You're like, kind of like, oh, okay. Wow. I'm getting to work with this person.
Totally. And you never expect it either. Like, and I remember Jacob Tuning just looked at me and he was like, he's like, stop it. Just go ask him for a photo. And I was like, I don't know if I can, and I know when people come and ask me for photos or whatever, I'm like, sure, absolutely, like, no problem, whatever. But like, for some reason that day I was in a mood and I was shy.
Oh, yeah, it's okay to be shy.
It is, but I find it so interesting for, since you played Echo in the 100, like, who is such a badass to be so like, oh my God, should I actually ask for a photo? Like
one of the gentlest souls too. Like one of the most sweetest humans. I was like,
yeah, it's kind of funny to be afraid of Scott Thompson. I got to admit, he is one of the nicest guys out there. Totally.
I know.
Oh, but hey, that's what happens sometimes. Now, of course, right now you guys are doing the press for the show, and I noticed that recently you and the PR team got all in sync and broke out the Canadian tuxedo.
Oh, we sure did.
So who decided, hey, we should all rock the denim? Is all your idea?
It was actually a group effort. Like, Harlan showed up at the hotel like an hour after I did. I was like, what are you wearing tomorrow? And he's like, I have a Canadian tuxedo and I have something else. And I was like, Canadian. I'm like, why didn't I think of this? I was like, okay, wait. Save the Canadian tuxedo for Friday. I'm going to go find one. We'll be matching. We'll be a full Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Canadian tuxedo moment. And then when we were talking about it on the Thursday, this all happened Friday. We just I was like, we should all wear Canadian tuxedos. And like everybody was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, sweet. So the next day it was funny because everyone showed up in their Canadian tuxedos, which was so great. And we were walking through the halls of Bell Media, going to the different rooms to do the press. And I heard this like one guy, and we were having all these jokes, like in the elevator, just looking at ourselves being like, well, this looks ridiculous and it's awesome. And one guy was like, who do those guys think they are? We walked by. And I was like, we're the Gene crew. You can't mess with us. Screw up, you.
Yeah, no, totally. You tell him. Like, that's the thing. It's funny to me that it's like the Canadian tuxedo has now become like such a thing. I look back and go, wow, 8-year-old me in the 80s was really cool then, because I was rocking the jeans and the jean jacket.
Yes. You should go back to it.
Yeah, I might maybe get a short long as well, and like write white out on the back of the jacket. The kid is hot tonight. Sounds good. Yeah.
I love everything about that.
Well, and Shoresy's kind of got a bit of a short long going on in the show too, so it'd be in fashion.
He brings up duotangs, which is a word I haven't heard in a million years.
Honestly, I when it happened, I was both like, what just happened? And this is amazing. Like I immediately turned into like me in grade 5, like doing presentations. And I'm just like,
oh yeah. You want to make sure you get the best duotang, the nice yellow or the red, something that pops, and make sure that's like, when you hand that in, you're going to get an A, definitely.
Totally. Speaking of whiteout, all over my duotangs, just like my name.
Oh yeah? That's how they know it's yours. Definitely.
That's it. You know, as I was thinking about it, I started thinking, I'm like, did he take the one that has like the individual hole prongs that you had to spend, or did he do like the big long one with the slide down, you know, the fancy one? It was the, you know, the pull apart.
Yeah, with the little pieces of metal. Yeah.
Yeah. It had it was the cover, the front and the back were two pieces instead of the I was like, this is what went through my mind as I'm watching it. I was just like, I wonder what kind of duotang he got there. Like this is like, you know.
How rich is Shoresy?
You're I'm picturing him having a suitcase ready just with duotangs for all of his presentations. Yeah.
Well, to me, it's very much like Shoresy is still stuck in that, you know, that childhood mind. So he thinks, well, this is the way you do things. I did it this way in grade 3. That's kind of like.
And then the photos, and then you open the duotangs.
Right.
Like inside, it's just it's a page with a photo of the hockey player and the name all in, you know, not even capitalized, all in lowercase. Like he is a 5-year-old.
That scene was just like, you're like, okay, so tell me about the play. Well, you know, he played in the show. Oh, he was in the NHL. Well, no,
not that show.
No, lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
Oh, lacrosse.
Yeah.
Hockey. Good one, pal.
Yeah. Your reactions in that scene were just they were classic. That was good.
God.
Oh man. Now, of course, you know, aside from Shoresy, you've worked on a number of other projects recently. I know that you recently worked on a short film called Tiger by the Tail.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about that?
I sure can. That one is amazing. I had so much fun. Like the style was shot in this like Quentin Tarantino-esque, you know, retro 70s vibe. And I played Pearl, who's a weed growing rock and roll like type of chick from the country. And this is the 70s. And so disco starts moving in. And they start moving into her small town. Pearl does not like this. It just so happens that it's another woman who's leading the charge, the disco charge. So there's this big standoff between these two powerful women. You know, like one represents kind of like new blood and changing times and, you know, all of the fun fare that comes with disco. And then Pearl is just very rock and roll and old school. And you see these two go at it. It's really fun.
Well, that sounds awesome. It seems like I've noticed you play so many different types of characters, but I notice a lot of them, the theme is strong, take no shit type characters.
I'm noticing the same thing.
Yeah.
Is it just
my niche? I think.
I was gonna say, is it happenstance, or you know, is it just you know you kind of like happily just picking these? Like, what's going on there?
It's happens like it just happenstance. Like I don't know. I don't know, man. Like it just happens. It's just kind of great, you know. I guess like I get a lot of lawyers. I get a lot of like business women and stuff like that, you know. And I guess, you know, it just comes from my mama. You know, my mama was like booming voice, 6'1" CEO type, but she had like purple hair and loved red wine. Like she was very eccentric, but she was a boss for sure.
Oh, that sounds like you had a really cool mom. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys are gonna meet her one time. She is a riot.
Well, the purple hair and the wine, also 6'1". That's a pretty imposing person. That's
yeah. Aren't you like 6'1" Green?
No,
no.
5'9".
Yeah, no, but I mean like Green. You're 6'1".
Yeah, no, I'm 6'1". Yeah.
Yeah. So and you're pretty like when I see you, you're pretty tall. So yeah, that's quite impressive.
Tall family of women. My sister's 5'10" or 5'11", I believe. So I'm the shortest actually at 5'9".
5'9" is still pretty tall though.
Oh yeah.
You guys could have an awesome basketball team.
Totally. That's what we want to do.
You know, in your spare time. You know, you guys are busy with stuff, but like maybe put together a team. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks.
I don't know if she has spare time. Like you're always working, right? Like it's just you're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
no, I got to believe that's you know, you're very pleased about that. Just always getting to constantly work, like, and try different things, right? Like, you know, as Andrew mentioned, that you've, you know, we've seen, like I mentioned, the 100 earlier, right? Of course, that's a totally different show than what some of these other roles, obviously. You know, do you have a lot of fun going back and forth, you know, and getting and reveling in the fact that you're not just, you know, playing comedies or science fiction or horror or whatever?
Or whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, yeah, when you start, you kind of like, I think I remember being in acting school and like everybody wanted to be a character actor. Like we were all like, well, I can do everything. Like, I can do it all. We're all so talented, you know? But they were like, you're the best friend, you're the lead, you're the this, you're the, you know, there's different like strengths that you will find yourself in the pocket of more easily, I think. And then you expand from there if you want to, you know, become someone who takes on all sorts of different roles. But yeah, I mean, it's great, but it's challenging. It's just it's work. You know, I take what I do really seriously, actually. Like, I really love, I'm super curious as a person. So like my mind is just like always like wondering, like, what kind of music did they listen to? Like, what were they like in high school? Like, who would hang out with them? So anytime I get a character, it's just tons of work. And you'll see me, like, there's papers everywhere. My boyfriend used to walk in and just like look at me, and I would just be like in the same like pajamas for 3 days, like hair in like a sideways bun. And he's like, you need to go outside. You need to get the fresh air. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he's just coming in. He's concerned. It's like, oh, she's been in the universe of this character for far too long.
Yeah. Will she come back?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, it shows in your work, the amount of time that you put into your characters. And I got to say, I love Nat. I really like this show a lot. I wasn't sure what we were going to get with Shoresy, but I put it up there with, you know, like Slapshot and Goon in the representation of like a good ensemble piece that happens to take place around hockey. So
thank you.
Looking forward to watching the rest of the series.
I can't wait for you guys to see the rest. It's Crave's #1 show right now, so it seems that the people are responding to it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And then, of course, our American listeners are going to get to experience all of it in just a week's time on Hulu.
Yeah. I was just going to quickly ask, is in the episodes that we haven't seen, is there one that you're particularly looking forward to people getting the chance to see?
I love the final episode. I think they tied it all up. There was just like, it's so masterful when like a writer kind of takes all these loose ends and then just like ties them up really, really well. And that's what we have in the last episode, with also a little bit of a cliffhanger, one might say.
Oh, well, that sounds good. I look forward to that. I also look forward to hearing Lawrence LaBeouf's name 80 more times in the show. And it should be good times. I want to thank you so much for coming on today, Tasya. It's been a blast talking with you, and I look forward to the rest of your work.
Thank you, guys. It's been so much fun chatting with you.
No problem. Have yourself a great night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.